What's up, vapors? Thanks for checking out Daily Vape TV. My name is Nick, and today we're going to be talking about the Feelm pod technology. Alright guys, so the random question of the day is, if you could live on any other planet in our solar system, which one would it be and why? And just for argument's sake, this is saying that you would be adapted to living on whatever planet you choose. I think I'd like to live on Saturn because it has the rings, and I feel like the night sky would be really cool to look at. Now, with that being said, I am not an astronomer whatsoever, so I know nothing about this planet, but I just feel like if any planet's going to have a hell of a good view, it's going to be Saturn. But I want to hear from you guys, which planet would you choose and why, right down there in the comments box below. So today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. We're not actually talking about a specific device, but more or less a vaping technology from a company called Feelm, with a big shout out and thank you going to Feelm for sending this along for my testing purposes. So Feelm is a company that develops vaping technology. They're currently working on a new type of atomizer, and they're also working with several other vaping companies. They sent along this tester for me to try out, and I gotta say, I'm pleasantly surprised by it. So this is the part of the video where I normally talk about what colors it comes in and how much it is and where you can buy it, but this is not for sale currently. They are actually just working on the technology, and this is just for testing purposes. So with that being said, I'll explain more when we get down to the close-ups. So let's just go ahead and do that right now. Let's dive down to the close-up view and take a better look at this thing. Alright guys, so as you can see, we've got our Feelm pod system in its original box. So this particular product here is not actually for retail sale, so don't expect anything super fancy with the packaging. However, I just want to go through it and show you guys exactly what I received here. So with that, it says for next pod right here on the front with a little design at the bottom. On this side here, it says Feelm, and same thing on this side here. And on the back, just simply their social media and their website. So this is pretty much it. I mean, it's just a basic box here to be sent out to testers. So let's just go ahead and see what we get inside. So first things first, you get their little battery here. And as you can see towards the bottom section, it says Feelm, Feelm Technology Tester. And this is actually a pretty neat little battery, I gotta say. It's a pretty simple little pod system. Has a little LED right there, and there's your battery contacts on the inside. Nothing super duper fancy, but it definitely works well. We get a USB cable, of course, actually pretty nice one. One of those like braided plasticky kind of feeling ones. Definitely not super duper cheap like we typically get, but with that we get 4 flavor pods. This one is their tobacco, I want to say 20 milligram. I believe that's a 20 milligram tobacco. You have a 50 milligram watermelon, and these are just like handwritten labels. Just for testing purposes. This one I've already gone through. This was the Spearmint in 50. I really enjoyed that one. And last but not least, we have a blueberry in 45. Now I believe these are all Nick Salt as well. There's nothing else in the box. That's it, as you can see there. So what you're seeing here is just a couple of graphics from their website. I just really wanted to showcase exactly what they were going for with this device here and what it all means. But with that, if you want to freeze frame this at any time, just hit that pause button so you can read through some of this information, or just go to their website. The link will be right down there in the description below. So here's one of the pods that I received with this device. It's really nothing special to look at on the outside here, just a pretty standard pod with your little magnets on the outside section there and some contact points and a single airflow hole in the middle. This is where the magic happens, right in this little section here. I know it's going to be very difficult to see, but there's a little black piece in there. That is your actual atomizer section. And with that, you have some liquid in there as well. And that's about it. There's really nothing too fancy as far as the outside is concerned. Everything is happening right there on the inside. As far as these flavor pods are concerned, I did try each one of them out, and they gave me a very consistent flavor on each one of them. The tobacco is a very earthy, natural tasting tobacco, kind of similar to like a strawberry decang from back in the day. If anyone remembers that, you get 5 cool points. The watermelon was kind of basic, not really my favorite, not very, you know, super sweet or anything like that. It's just kind of a mellow watermelon kind of flavor. Blueberry was really nice, kind of a blueberry jam sort of flavor, and spearmint, but was by far my favorite. I really love a good spearmint flavor, and it was very true and accurate to what I feel like a spearmint pod should taste like. As far as the performance of the pod system itself, it was actually really nice. I would definitely pick one of these up if they ever released it as a standalone product. I like the little teardrop shape for the LED. It charges up very, very quickly, and you know, it's just got a nice shape and feel to it overall. So yeah, just a nice standard pod system. Really no major complaints about it whatsoever, especially for a technology tester. And that's pretty much all I've got to say about this little Feelm pod system. So let's go back to the main screen, have a quick vape on this thing, and we'll talk about it some more. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed the close-up section of this video. Now let's talk about my personal thoughts about this device, some pros, some cons, and whether or not it's worth pursuing. Starting off with the pros, my first pro is the draw is really nice and smooth. It's a very comfortable hit. It's just where I want my airflow to be. It's not too tight, it's not too loose, and typically with pod systems, the draw is too loose and I really just don't get any enjoyment out of it. This one here is just the nice, perfect, smooth draw that I'm looking for, similar to the smallest air hole on the Nautilus if I could compare it to something, and I gotta say that's a definite pro in my book because it's really hard to find a pod system with this nice of a draw nowadays. My second pro for this technology is the flavor is very, very pure. I get an accurate representation of what the flavors are supposed to taste like. They sent along 4 different cartridges for me to try out, and I gotta say each one is good in their own way, although I definitely have my favorite, which is the spearmint, but I gotta say each one is really good and very accurate to what it's actually supposed to taste like. And my third and final pro for this device here is that it's not harsh whatsoever. Now, typically with normal coils on normal pod systems, they heat up towards the end of a long draw like I'd like to take, and with that, you have this added harshness to it. With this one here, I don't get any harshness whatsoever. I'm not coughing on it. This is a 40 milligram Nic Salt pod, and I have not coughed off this one bit, which is actually kind of cool because on my everyday setups, I'm using mostly zeros and sometimes occasionally 3s. With this one here being 40 milligram, it's not making me cough, and that's definitely a good thing. Alright guys, so moving on to the cons, my first con is that you do get the occasional dry hit when chain vaping. Now, under normal circumstances, 2-3 hits in a row, you're not going to get a dry hit, but if you like to take 5, 6, 7 hits in a row, then you might get a dry hit with that. But this is a new technology without cotton or a coil inside of it, so you got to give them that much credit, and I feel like I should give them a lot of leeway with this circumstance here because normal vaping, you're not going to experience any dry hits. And my second con for this one is that they advertise no leaking, but I definitely have some juice down in my battery section. Now, with that, I don't believe the pod itself is actually leaking. I feel like it could just be a case of some condensation or just me leaving the pod in here for a month, but in any case, it definitely doesn't leak nearly as much as most other pod systems out there on the market nowadays. And my third and final con for this system is that I can't refill these pods. These are just non-hackable pods that you can't refill, and I'd just really like to try it out with my own juice, something I'm more familiar with, that I know the flavor of like the back of my hand, and in this case here, you can't do that because you just can't get into these pods. So that's a little bit unfortunate. I really hope they someday will release a empty pod that I can refill, that I can just fill up with something that I really know and love. So at the end of the day, is this something that I would be interested in the future? Considering this device is not for retail sale currently, would I go after this if I didn't get this one in for review? As far as this particular vaping technology is concerned, I'm going to have to say yes. If, for instance, they decided to market this in other types of pods like the Novo pods or the Soren Airs or something like that, then yeah, I would definitely choose the Feelm technology atomizers over the stock ones because I feel like these are more flavorful. The vapor production is excellent and nice and smooth, no harshness, and it's just a really, really nice, satisfying vape. So be on the lookout for Feelm vaping technology in the future. I feel like this could be a potential game changer, and I gotta say, I really can't wait to see what they come out with next. But that about does it for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe for more videos just like this. Don't forget to leave your comments down in the box below and check me out on my social medias right down there in the description below. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and as always, vape on.